Hey, Ben, how's it going? Pretty good.
Come on in. Hey, good evening.
Thank you.
Mr. Simmons, come on in.
Hello, Mayor.
Good to see you.
You too. So I went out and do things there.
He is at school.
So you don't have any new things.
We'll rise for the pledge of allegiance. We call this meeting to order, regular city council meeting for October 7, 2025.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go a quick roll call. Councilmember
Here.
Councilmember Spears,
Present.
Councilmember Kennedy,
Here.
Councilmember Maxwell,
Here.
Councilmember Olson,
Present.
Councilmember Carvold.
Here.
Thank you, all present. We have one vacant seat, as you know. Approval of the agenda for tonight. There are a couple of minor corrections. We can either make those, it's on a couple resolutions, there's a couple typographical errors. So I think that we'll just ask for an amendment when those come up, but that's okay. I don't have any other changes. Does council have any other changes or amendments to the agenda?
Vote to approve the agenda.
Thank you.
Second.
Any discussion there? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Opportunity for interested citizen comments, either online or in the audience. We did get one written comment. I believe council has all been disseminated that. Subject is written comment by City Council meeting 7 October 2025, acknowledging that. Anyone online that has a public comment, this is your opportunity. I will make note that our city attorney is online. We also have city administrator Sonny Weathers online. He's at a conference, so he may chime in at some point. Anyone in the audience, this is your opportunity for public comment. You'll also have another opportunity at the end of the meeting to have up to 3 minutes. Hearing none, we'll move on. There are no announcements or proclamations tonight. Reports. We'll hear from council members on any committee or council reports. Mr. Pritchard.
No, I have HDAC on Thursday, and I'll meet with George Dahl separately about the hazard mitigation and I talked about before. And the PFAS task force is going along pretty well. It's pretty interesting. I'm not sure that I'm supposed to talk about that. Probably Sunny. Oh no, you're there.
You can. You can share on that. I thought it was a great meeting.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. We have a list of people that have been sampled. We can rate them based upon the contamination. We kind of made a little quick calculation, and so that money we're going to use that list from the project, the Medical Lake actually funded. Thank you guys. To actually pick some of the first people to get the filtration out of the $6 million. Hope it's the county very excited about it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Appreciate your work on that. Thank you. Anything else?
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Spears.
I had the opportunity to go to Boston a couple weeks ago for APTA conference. So it was, I enjoyed it. Never been to Boston. It was a great conference. It was our annual awards meeting, and then we got to hear from and then have a short Q&A with the new federal transportation administrator. So he seems super high speed, and I think it's going to work out well for us. He's a good advocate of transit, so hopefully he'll be able to guide us the next couple of years to have a steady support for transportation as a whole. I completely spaced the meeting today, so I missed finance committee this morning, so I will defer that, or this right before this meeting, so I will defer the finance report to anybody else that would be willing to take it up.
That's good.
Discussion for one. Thanks for going with SD. How large of a delegation went from Spokane?
4 board members and a dozen staff.
Nice.
So yeah, it was a really great conference. Large trade show at the same time, right? So there's a lot of the different technologies and the different agencies that we got to interface with and kind of get, do the roundtables and the lessons learned and steal their marketing ideas and their other development ideas, and went really well. So we'll see how it goes.
Presenting West Plains and small cities. Councilmember Kennedy.
I met with the finance committee and we found everything in order.
Thank you,
So,
sir.
Whatnot. And this morning I attended the Spokane Regional Transportation Summit that was out at Center Place. Very nice. Well, it was packed. I was surprised how many people were there. Keynote speaker came from Brookings Institute talking about nationwide travel and infrastructure development and things like that. And we had a lot of local people from DOT and STA and others. It was very, very informative. And then SRTC, which I'm going to attend a meeting on that on Thursday, but the board on Thursday is going to be voting on accepting the draft of their Horizon 2050 plan of what needs to be fixed and the timing of all the road repairs and everything else that's done. That's going to be released next week, and it's going to be available on the SRTC website for anybody to look at. That was quite informative also about the things that are planned.
Thanks for presenting us so well. Anything else? Okay. Councilmember Maxwell.
No report, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Olson.
No report, Your Honor.
Okay, Councilmember Harville.
I was just gonna say that I appreciate Dave from code enforcement getting back with me on some nuisance issues.
Mhm,
I appreciate that.
mhm.
Well,
Thank you so much. He's done an excellent job. 145 cases to date as of the end of August. So he is working hard, and we're seeing a difference in the city. It's starting to look, lots are looking tidier, and actual properties that have been a nuisance property for a long time are getting cleaned up. So I agree with you. I think he's doing an excellent job. For me, attended a Broadlink meeting. I chair that organization. Also, all of the awards, we know that Comcast received the Medical Lake Award, and so they have just put in 2 more permits. So that build out is going forward. And Ziply, of course, was already here doing some work too. So by the end of year, we should all have plenty of high-speed broadband internet options in our city, which was a main priority. And I'm so happy that it came to fruition. City administrator and city staff. Mr. Weathers, I don't know if you have anything to share.
Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. Just wanted to say a hearty hello from Wenatchee, Washington. We're at the Infrastructure Assistance Coordinating Council meeting conference, which is great. They are an organization that helps Washington communities identify and obtain resources to develop and improve and maintain infrastructure. So we're making some new friends. We see a lot of familiar faces out here as well. I'm here with Public Works Director Scott Duncan and Wastewater Treatment Plant Director Steve Cooper. They're just over my shoulder. You can't see them because I got the background on, but we're all here, happy to support and answer any questions that come up throughout the council meeting tonight.
Thank you so much. I don't know if we can do anything about the sound to turn that up just a little bit. That would be great. Although we did hear what you said, Mr. Brothers, so thank you so much. Workshop discussions, then we're going to go, we have some special guests here tonight. The West Plains Aquifer Protection Area, Kyle Tuig is the Spokane County Public Works Director. We'll have you come forward, Mr. Tuig, and we will hear about the Aquifer Protection Plan. We've been working on this for a bit, and exciting work that's happening.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. My name is Kyle Tuig, Public Works Director from Spokane County. With me is Ben Bradabo, our Water Programs Administrator, and Amy Summer, who's our Water Programs Manager. We forwarded some slides along. Are those able to be popped up? I'll kind of give a high level here. For those of you unaware, the Spokane County has had a aquifer protection area, which we'll talk a little bit more about what that means over the Spokane Valley Rathrum Prairie Aquifer. It was recently renewed in this August ballot for the third time. So it will be a funding source that will be 60 years in the making. So we're 40 years into it at this point. There's a lot of history with that one here, but wanted to bring a discussion forward about the high level uses of what an aquifer protection area can be done. Our Spokane County Commissioners have asked us to explore what a West Plains aquifer protection area might mean and gauge interest from the local jurisdictions to see if they wanted to participate and if this is something that would be interested in bringing forward. While waiting for the slides here, I'll just kind of
Council's
let you know
attention
this
to
is
page 3. It is in your packet there while we're waiting for that.
there we go. So these are established under RCW 3636 under state law. And the fees can be charged for withdrawal of subterranean water, so using drinking water, and on-site sewage disposal, septic tanks. An APA is established by county commissioners to be brought forward as a ballot measure. These are voter-approved, simple majority ballot measures. So the voters decide if they want to be assessed a fee for a program such as this. An APA cannot include any municipal jurisdictions without them requesting to be included. So every municipality would have to, should this move forward, pass resolutions saying that they wanted to be included in the aquifer protection area boundary. The expenditures that are allowable under an APA are very broad. They are allowed for planning, whether that's for preservation or rehabilitation of subterranean water, stormwater, sanitary sewer, drinking water, monitoring programs. That's been a big part of the aquifer protection area that we've had over the SVRP. Can be used for enforcement. Education is another component. That's another big part of the program that has been going on over the SVRP. I don't have time tonight to get into the history of what's going on in that program. I want to make sure this is tailored to what this might mean for the West Plains residents and the West Plains jurisdictions, and just get some feedback on interest. So the APA has to be determined by voter precincts. So election precinct boundaries for what has been just discussed around this West Plains APA are highlighted in black up there. And the numbers inside those black polygons are, those little numbers that you can barely read are the number of parcels in there. So there's about 11,600 parcels in the unincorporated. There would be 2,400 approximately in Airway Heights and 1,800 here in Medical Lake. Cheney has another 2,800 and the Air Force is another 40 parcels. So just shy of 20,000 total parcels. Ag lands don't get included.
So undeveloped land isn't included. It has to do with, are you using water or disposing of wastewater? So developed properties are not.
So this is just we've used the other model just as a starting point for the discussion. So the fees are for the usage of groundwater for drinking water, whether you get it from a domestic system or a private well, and then whether you have a septic system. So if you're on sewer, you do not pay that second fee. We find in the other APA, it's about averages out $22 per parcel per year. So if we applied that financial model and that fee structure to the proposed West Plains boundaries, it would generate a little over $400,000 a year. And if you just take a straight percentage allocation of that, you can see that on the slide there, Medical Lakes would be a little north of $40,000. That's if it was just collected and distributed. And the methodology for that is all structured around meeting the needs of the West Plains. In the SVRP, the contributing municipalities have asked Spokane County to lead a few programs, such as the monitoring program. We have decades of data on the SVRP aquifer and testing it for contaminants. Remember, this is really originated back when the sewering of the valley and the nitrate problems in the SVRP became a real issue, and that's part of the genesis of this entire program here. How that gets rolled out into a potential West Plains APA is for the agreement of the parties involved. So for instance, in that model, the county administers the program, does the monitoring program, does the educational program, satisfies some other regulatory requirements for the other jurisdictions, and then the remainder is distributed on that same proportional basis. It's worth noting that should a ballot measure be passed by the voting citizens, it's a 20-year funding source. So I can't tell you that there's a roadmap from whenever this, should it pass, for 20 years. But there's a lot of activities that could really jumpstart, I mean, we didn't sewer the SVRP in a day. It took a lot of planning, a lot of forethought, a lot of funding, and a lot of things that came together. But we could potentially have staff dedicated to this project and running these programs. A monitoring program could be extended from the county's program, which would have some efficiencies since we have a lot of experience in monitoring. And maybe we're looking for different things out here, whether that, of course, PFAS is the perpetual elephant in the room, but maybe it's water levels. Maybe we're thinking about quantity, not just quality. Nitrates are always a concern. We know there's some metal concerns, particularly as we get towards Cheney. There's surface water considerations, managing and coalescing that data into a single resource, which has been where we've derived a lot of the value in the SVRP. We also run education programs, whether that's aquifer education, wastewater education, outdoor education. It's a very robust program, and those are things that can be extended and funded into this. Whether we did a comprehensive plan, conservation program, all these eligible, and really, can't do all of this in 1 year necessarily. Some of them would be annual, like monitoring, and has a lot of value in that kind of consistency of data collection. But with water quantity also being a big concern, conservation programs are certainly an opportunity here. And so this is just a coalescence of some of the discussions that we've had to whether that's with stakeholders or elected officials, just to bring it a little bit of meat so that there's enough of an idea of what we might want to do should this the cities decide this wants to be brought forward. So if we go to the next slide, just again a potential budget and what that might look like as far as having dedicated staff time, a monitoring program, education program, and just if that was a first year budget and then distributing the remainder to the municipalities to do as they see, or everybody can collaborate on some regionally productive programs, whether that is a planning program, an actual construction project, a conservation project. Again, these are very flexible dollars. They're also flexible as match dollars because these are local funds. So should there be an opportunity for a state or a federal funding program, these are eligible. They're not going to be a conflicting matching component. Couple more slides for you. So this is just kind of laying out a roadmap of how, based on feedback from we'll be talking to all three of the municipalities out here on the West Plains, and really trying to make sure we reach agreement on the boundaries, the fee structure. I mean, we're just copying the fee structure. We've had the same fee structure for 40 years. We'll be going on 60 years in the SVRP. It's worked out there, but if it was desired to be different, that's just something we'd like to collaborate on. And then really getting out and getting some public outreach into the community, helping understand what the community wants to drive this program forward towards. And then agreement on a ballot timing. There's been some preliminary discussions and just tossing out potentially August of 2026. We were successful in this ballot measure in August of 2025 with a very strong support. And August is a good time for people to be thinking about water and obviously trying to manage conflicting ballot measures, but that was at least what has been currently proposed. The actual physical next steps would be resolutions from the participating municipalities saying that we want to be included. And that's just a councilmatic resolution. As we got closer to the elections office deadlines, which are actually April, then the county would hold a public hearing, and then the county would put a resolution forward to initiate the ballot measure, which would be tentatively August of 2026. We have one more budget slide, just as again, if we want to look at numbers, love spreadsheets. Again, this is just putting something on paper so that we have something to talk about, and kind of how those allocations might look like, and what the proportional costs would look like for each jurisdiction.
Thank you. Any questions from council?
So you say there's no sewer fee, is that already figured into the medical lake and within the municipalities?
We have not done a comprehensive parcel by parcel analysis. We use 22 as the average because that's the average in the other one. But in most municipalities, they're very well sewered, and the preponderance of the residents in the incorporated pay the 15, and then more of the unincorporated pay the 30. So that's just how the numbers would pencil out.
You also said the parameters are pretty loose. Just how loose are they? That's pretty scary when you're asking for people's money.
It's very clearly defined in the RCW, and that language has been included every time in the ballot measure. It's loose from the standpoint of aquifer related activities, drinking water, stormwater, sewer, planning, education, monitoring, but it's clearly defined. You cannot divert these funds into a general fund, into public safety, into anything that is not pretty directly related to water.
Got to be earmarked.
Yeah, I think it's flexible is probably a better word than loose.
Yes.
That, there's flexibility, use it within the parameters where those guardrails are set. So on the West Plains Comprehensive Plan, that would be a different comp plan. This is one would be specific to the protection, groundwater protection. Is that right? We'd be looking at a new comp plan specific to the groundwater.
Yeah, that's
protection.
correct. So so each jurisdiction, county included, have the general comprehensive plan. This is actually, the statute describes a comprehensive plan for groundwater protection.
Within that.
Yeah, and it doesn't,
Oh.
this existed before growth management or comprehensive planning, and so this exists under statute. So it could be standalone. I think the thought is that it is incorporated or feeds off of the larger.
I was just curious. I know everyone's working on the comp plan now. Is this the idea that this would be included with that, or it would be a standalone? That was what I was trying to figure out.
Yeah, and I think it is a standalone because the SBRP aquifer started out in 1979 with its own sort of water quality protection plan, and that's the basis for the water resources program at the county. So all of the actions outlined in that document is what we do, and so we're just using that as our guidance. And so that's all that comprehensive plan would be, is how do we want to guide the activities for the aquifer protection area here.
Okay, very good. And then my other question is on the indoor outdoor water conservation program. So then is that controlled by the cities themselves? The conservation program, I usually think of conservation, but this is cities and water purveyors. So if you're a water purveyor, each individual municipality then would be the decision maker on conservation programs, or is the county now controlling conservation, water conservation? Is that left to the local jurisdictions?
I think that would be a local decision unless, the municipalities wanted to come together and have a single, regional voice on that, but the county is not a water purveyor, so we're not really in that business. We would just
Right.
understand supporting those programs, and it would really be the decisions of each purveyor and municipal boundary. I mean, the funds would go to the municipality, so for that, but it's certainly valuable work, and
Yeah.
that the staff behind the APA could be supporters of that effort.
I appreciate that.
And the education piece of it could be,
Yeah.
for example, unified across all municipalities in the West Plains. So that could be a way to do that. And then a number of properties are served by City of Spokane water, but they're not part of this because their municipal boundary is in the Spokane Valley, not from Prairie Aquifer Protection. So
Right.
there's some crossover there, as you're aware.
I think it'd be probably just knowing the small cities are gonna want to sort of manage that themselves, independent of one another, and I just wanted to make sure this plan doesn't change any of that, and wanted the public and the council to understand it doesn't change any of that. So thank you for answering that question. Any other questions from council? This is Roger.
I love the Spokane Valley Raptor Prairie, like you can go in there and look at the dates and when the water levels were and what the actual chemistry of the water is. But I mean, the West Plains has grown like 30-40% in the last couple of years. So obviously the county or ecology has been monitoring groundwater pretty densely, haven't they?
Yes, the ecology has some data in EIM
Just
and so, yeah, it's just whatever you can find in there, and EIM's not very user friendly. So if it were something where we would want to maybe make that data a little more accessible in something like the application that we have for an SBRP aquifer, that could be done essentially.
I kind of leading a question. I
Yeah.
apologize. There's like no data out there on groundwater. We've just developed the bejeebers out of the West Plains and drilled all these wells, and there's no data for water levels. So something like this would be phenomenal. Have a worksheet where you could actually measure like what's happening. I mean, like Airway Heights had this the Suncrest well. What was that? The Sunwest? No, that's a great auto place here. They had a big well. They had actually lost their water rate because water levels went down like 400 feet. That wasn't being recorded anywhere. And like now they're getting water coming back in, so water levels are coming back up. But we don't know what's happening. It's crazy. Like we have to know what our water is doing. I think this is really important. Thank you for what you're.
I think it is too, and that was why it's been in the valley for 40 years, to protect that aquifer, but also to understand what's happening with the water. And we don't spend a lot of time thinking about it every day. We probably should. But anyway, and why that was renewed. We've been having this discussion for a little while, and so this is our opportunity to kind of understand what it is, why it's important, how it might help us or not. It'll be up to this body to decide by resolution. And it sounds like we would need to get that dialed in by April of 26. So we can get it on the ballot. But anyway, more discussion to come. But I think that we look forward if you have more questions. I guess I'm wondering if council wants some more information on this, or if we are ready to bring this forward for resolution, or would you like to have another workshop? To have some time to think about it and ask some more questions.
I think a little time to ask some more questions. Well, I guess I have a question right now. So the management of like the educational programs and all of that. So how is that decided? So in this 20-year span, right? Is that something where there's like, is there a board or an organization that decides all of that? What kind of voice do we have in it as the 3 municipalities? And then so that way our constituents can give us feedback. And
And that's really for everybody to establish together. We can not do an education program, or we can only do it, fund it for 1 year, or maybe it's every year for 20 years. That's really for the group to decide. We've never set up a governing board for one. We've kind of structured the interlocal agreements. So the resolution, and I want to be real clear on terminologies here. So the city council would make a vote whether or not to be included. The ballot measure is the public's will. It's a 51% majority vote of the public. So the resolution to be just in the public of Medical Lake would be included in a ballot measure. That's what the resolution stated. Behind that is when we do kind of the real detailed work, which is an interlocal agreement that talks about how we use the funds and how we distribute the funds. And so that can be as formal or informal as we want to take. We have to do an interlocal to be able to write through the check. But it can be, hey, we're going to have a meeting annually and we're going to talk about this is what we want the county to do and this is what we want to do, or we just want a full distribution this year. We just want XYZ program to go forward, and we just make those decisions. We've just kind of kept it as we kind of just talk every year and lay out the plan. And that's how it's worked very well at the SVRP.
Okay, great.
And the public outreach part, that would also be included in the agreement, if you will. So, like we're doing our public outreach right now for our comprehensive plan. It seems like it makes great sense that we would begin public outreach about this issue. But do we do the resolution first and then do the public outreach? So the resolution gets it on the ballot or gets it headed in that direction. Do you do the outreach before or after? What's your thoughts?
Totally your call.
Okay.
If there's at least interest in moving this forward, the outreach can begin at any time. I mean, a lot of it is there's kind of like the initial outreach of explaining what this is.
Right.
And then it's a little more different once something has been submitted to the elections office. And now we have very strict rules about what the information that is going out can do and what anybody can say.
Okay.
So the resolution can be done anytime, even if the whole thing gets scrapped. It's just saying we have interest in this, and if this goes forward, we want to be a part of it.
Okay. Have you had outreach to Erwin Hydrocini yet?
We have met with the administration. We haven't had a meeting in front of their councils yet.
Okay.
We're planning on doing that in the very near future.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. It's interesting. I think that we do want to do some public outreach part of it. It's water is so important. Managing it is so important, and conserving it is so important. So I appreciate your time for coming and explaining this to us. And I think that one more question.
Yeah, sorry, so like in Spokane Valley Rats Prairie, you guys, for the education, it's the Water Resource Center, right?
Well, there's the Water Resource Center and then the Doris Morrison Learning Center. So we have 2 learning centers now, and the WRC has been in operation a lot longer, since 2011. So the education programs that we do there are pretty have been ongoing. They focus mostly on the human water cycle, the wastewater treatment plant, because it's on the same campus, and then we can provide tours as well for older students. So that's pretty well established. And then the Doris Morrison Learning Center is more about how wetlands function and the value that they provide in protecting water and more of the natural systems water cycle. And so, and that's becoming quite popular, and our education team are really fantastic at educating K-12 students. They're just rock stars. So, and their schedules get booked up pretty quickly. So that's why we were thinking having a dedicated staff for out here to kind of help balance those, because then we can bring staff from the SVRP established programs out here and help another additional staff out here too. So we would probably kind of work from what we already have built and then bring in additional material to tailor it to what you want.
And was that through the county or was that through the municipalities like Spokane Valley?
It's
Spokane
through the
State?
county,
Through
so
the
the
county.
county has, I actually manage the education team, so, we kind of, have like our own little thing that happens, and then there's, as Kyle pointed out, requirements in our permits that we also have to meet for education. So the stormwater and PDS permit, for example, has very specific education requirements. So we help to meet those. And we do that for Spokane County's stormwater utility as well as the city of Spokane Valley's stormwater utility. The city of Spokane kind of has their own program, so they manage that on.
And so like where you guys are at, is there an allocation that the valley into the city? Are you allocating money or do you guys kind of decide with those funds?
So what the way the agreements, with the city of Spokane Valley, latest agreement with the city of Spokane is they ask us to run the education and the monitoring program. And then, the basic administration of collecting the money and distributing it. And so the way those are written up is they support these programs, they want it, they get a lot of value out of it.
Yeah.
So that comes basically off the top. And then the allocation comes out of the remainder.
But you are giving money so they run their own, I mean, like the city of Spokane has their own like water conservation program. I'm just trying to make it clear that like.
Yeah.
It's,
So they use that of their own, but they get, they lean on our monitoring and
yeah, no,
to the extent the education. And so everybody's agreed, at least in the SVRP, let's fund those programs and then let's do our distributions and everybody does what they want to do.
that day basis.
Yeah. Having the monitoring and the education
That's what they
support is, yeah. And those are the parts that are interesting to me. So, yeah, so valuable. And then you're already doing it. We don't have to hire full-time staff to try to start a program, from scratch where you have plug and play system that's already there. We just have to duplicate it with our data and start testing and monitoring and educating. And so anyway, I appreciate it. I think it's really informative and thanks for taking the time to come. Any other questions from council related to this? So yeah, we'll kind of talk about this at the staff level again and then let you know where we're at with moving forward. Council's not ready to get a resolution drafted, but we'll definitely we may invite you back for another workshop once we get some more questions together. So
Happy to be here. Thank you
Yeah.
for having us.
thanks so much.
Thank you.
We also have another special guest, Scott Simmons, Spokane County Chief Financial Officer, but he is here to give us a scraps presentation. As you know, animal control is always a hot topic. And we appreciate you and your team. If you want to introduce your team, take the time to help us walk through this. So
Yeah, and we've got a presentation as well. Let's start with Chris, want to introduce himself.
My name is Chris Miller. I'm the field operations manager for Scraps. I supervise the animal protection officers and oversee the field activities of our department.
I'm Nick Hobsdoyle. I oversee shelter. I'm the shelter manager. I oversee everything from daily care to a veterinary practice and office management, everything that includes my building.
okay.
As the mayor mentioned, I'm Scott Simmons, CEO of the county and currently acting director of Scraps. So I'm wearing a couple of hats these days.
Nice.
In the process of interviewing and trying to identify our next director to take over. So why are we here today? Really twofold. One, we've had an agreement, an interlocal agreement between ourselves and 11 jurisdictions for providing regional animal care and control services. The piece we'll talk about today is just making sure we're getting in front of you on a frequent basis as you want to and share with you the statistics of what we're doing inside of your city boundaries. That's what the team will share a little bit more about. So I believe our first interlocal was entered into with jurisdictions around 2014. It was the advent of a regional system versus individual jurisdictions perhaps doing something on their own. I thought that regional was providing a more cost-effective, consistent service delivery model. When I jumped into the CEO role and learned more than I ever thought I'd learned about animal protection and control, I found that pretty much every single one of our interlocal agreements with our jurisdictions are different. And as you can probably envision, trying to administer a consistent standard level of service and a similar response time and similar whatever that we're doing in all the jurisdictions is very difficult when you have individual interlocal agreements. So our interlocal agreement with Medical Lake is basically on a year to year, but it's operating off a 2014 model, both in terms of financial and relations. So we had sent out letters to each of the jurisdictions January of this year saying, hey, we're working on a new interlocal agreement. The idea is to harmonize them so that every jurisdiction can expect the same level of service. And we're also harmonizing how we're doing cost recovery underneath these interlocal agreements. So prior on the existing interlocal agreement, I candidly couldn't tell you how the calculations for service charges came up. It was before my time. We've tried to come up with a very simplified model for all the jurisdictions. It's essentially, here's what our cost to operate the compliance, the field officers, all of the citation writing, all the education we do with the public, as well as our facility where we care for Alice impounded animals and we do reclaims and adoptions and all that sort of stuff. We do our veterinary services. Here's our costs that we estimate during the year. And in each jurisdiction, we track the individual calls for service, whether it is a emergency call, whether it is a calling for a barking dog or dog at large or an animal or even a cat or whatnot, impounds, ones that we collect and bring back to our facility. So we track all that by jurisdiction, and the methodology would essentially be each of the 11 have a percentage based on their call service activity. Medical Lake, I think in the information that we had sent over to Medical Lake about a month ago or so, I showed what your percentage of activity is as it relates to the entirety of the service boundaries that we do. And so we take our cost, multiply it by your activity. And then we also built something that we thought was important for each of the jurisdictions, a credit for you for the level of licensing revenues that we're receiving for your jurisdiction. So it allows each of the jurisdictions where we can partner with you to try to do more outreach, more compliance with the licensing of pets. Nationwide and here locally, we're probably only in the 11 to 12% range. Not a high level of compliance when it comes to animal licensing. But that is an area that if you are able to get more word out and within partnership with us, it could generate some more revenues that can help you minimize your costs by getting a credit back on those. So that's one of the biggest key components. These are, again, I said, very standardized contracts. We're trying to do that so that we can ensure that we're providing a consistent level of service to each jurisdiction. Mayor, when I talked to city administrator Cindy Weathers, he had asked, there's some termination language in here. The contract that you have in front of you, probably in the packet, you've seen that, anticipated starting this in November. We've been doing these outreaches to all the jurisdictions who have asked for us, and so we've been getting feedback from them. I think what we feel like is probably best appropriate is don't start at November 1. We probably shoot to start at January 1. It's just cleaner that way, especially as we're moving into a new service billing model. And then we had some termination clauses. It's anticipated to be a 5-year agreement, but they have 1-year renewals. So each jurisdiction on their own can decide whether there's value in the service that we're providing or whether you want to look at a different model yourself. And we fully support any jurisdiction doing it that way. We think we can provide good value, good service levels, but we want you guys to be able to make that determination on your own. So 1-year annual renewals, and either party, it won't be in the document you said, but we're updating these things. Either party could give 90 days notice before the end of the calendar year that you don't want to renew, or it assumes that there's an annual renewal. So it gives us a chance to come back together, see if there's any tweaks or adjustments we want to make that meet the level of your needs for your community individually. So it's not intended to lock you in per se. We want to make sure we're earning the right to deliver the services to you. Anything that Mayor, you or council had questions on specific to the interlocal agreement?
On the interlocal agreement, I'll let council ask first. I have a couple questions, but any on the interlocal, the things that changed. So this would be an initial 5-year term with 1-year renewals for the first 90 days notice, see the party. So that was something that we kind of neutralized that. And then the start date, also adopting a methodology for cost. So the cost is going to go up about $10,000 or so a year. And so just so council knows that that came out to about a 25% increase. But from 2014 to now, that's probably makes sense. So anyway, just knowing that we're going to have a few language changes, and then the indemnification is always. One of the questions I had is about the court process. So when you have a dangerous dog, or you have, I'm sure there's civil infractions, there's criminal charges. How does that work through the court system? And then will we incur any costs based on, which court is it filed in? What code are you filing under? Because we're just renewing our Title I. So I'm asking too many questions at once, but let's start with, tell me about the court process. Which code do you use and where is it filed?
So the potentially dangerous and dangerous dog declarations are a civil proceeding. And so currently the smaller jurisdictions as well as unincorporated Spokane County use the Spokane County Hearing Examiner's Office for appeals or potentially dangerous and dangerous dog declarations. The law currently for Spokane County Code, there's a multi-tiered appeal process for potentially dangerous. So the initial appeal of a potentially dangerous dog designation has an administrative review. And so essentially an officer finds, based on the preponderance of the evidence that the dog meets this definition of a potentially dangerous dog, issues the declaration. The owner then has 15 days to appeal to our office. And then there's an internal administrative review, typically done either by the director of scraps or by the designee, which theoretically could be anybody. Historically, it lands on the field operations manager as well as the director to conduct those administrative reviews. Dangerous dog declarations themselves are only appealed under Spokane County Code to the hearing examiner's office directly after that designation is made.
Okay. So it's all an administrative process internal to you unless there's an appeal, and then it goes to the hearings officer. But
yeah, so essentially after the administrative review, the individual hearing that will either affirm, modify, or dismiss the designation, and then the owner again has another right to appeal, and then that second appeal for potentially dangerous would then go to the hearing examiner's office.
And are there penalties under that administrative process?
So-
Or have authority
so,
to penalize people?
Yeah, I mean, there are mirrored statutes. So basically there's an ordinance under county code, which is dog threatening behavior, which mirrors a potentially dangerous dog definition that carries a civil penalty. And there's also exhibiting vicious propensities, which is a criminal offense, and that mirrors the dangerous dog definition. Historically, our office was really inefficient at doing enforcement outside of the civil proceedings. And substantially, really this last year, we've implemented the use of Sector, which is essentially the digital software that you essentially would receive from a patrol deputy when you're speeding. All of our officers historically would handwrite tickets, and just really, we've in these 10 months, we've done more enforcement for writing violations than the last 6 years combined at this point. And so we're dramatically improving our enforcement. And in the presentation, of the cases we've had so far in 2025, I actually had an officer write a criminal violation today in Medical Lake that isn't reflected in this. And then there's another civil infraction that's going to be coming from some enforcement that occurred today as well. So
Having commissioned officers then is new.
So no, we've had, it's a very large topic, but we've had specially commissioned officers, but currently the authority for animal control is derived under state statute. So
Right.
There's an RCW which gives officers under contract with municipalities to perform these services the authority to do the enforcement. So right now we have authority under state law as well as we have specially commissioned officers, but there's a potential for that to change. Just having authority in multiple places creates kind of a not necessary need for it. So yeah, I mean, another kind of huge benefit that we've had over the last couple of years We've sent half of our officers to the Washington Animal Control Academy, which is held at the Criminal Justice Training Center over in Burien. So we've incurred pretty significant costs, but education is extremely important in efficiency of doing our job. There's actually a huge liability of performing these services or being inept at performing these services and leading to situations where aggressive animals can cause harm to the public. So
I appreciate that. I am in support of having commissioned officers, so I'm glad to hear. And the training, of course, is essential. And then when you do offer those civil, you write a civil infraction. Is that, I guess I'm still not clear, is that filed into a municipal or district court, Spokane District Court?
yeah, so for medical aid, it's filed through district court.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And is that still under Title V? Is that?
Yeah, Title 504 is the county
Okay,
code.
great. And so when it goes to district court, do we have any charges for judge, prosecutor? Or is that just become part of our contract and the district court manages those civil infractions without any additional cost to the city? I just don't know if that's in the contract or not.
That would be handled through our interlocal agreement for district court services that we're providing on behalf of any jurisdiction.
Okay.
So separate from this, the flow of the infractions go through district court to manage it but our team doesn't really get involved. I don't think with district court too much unless they have anything to do with district court, other than them getting the citations and handling them.
Yeah, I mean, so district court, I guess the only exception to this is really this, because the city of Spokane has its own municipal court. They have their attorneys essentially that provide some guidance, but primarily, you know, the function we serve with district court is in our filings, and then the county does have civil attorneys that we consult for really all of our activities. That's really assigned to scraps. But I don't believe all of our smaller jurisdictions, they aren't responsible for. Right.
So
And in years gone by.
Cheney and Henry Heights would as well.
Yeah.
Some of the city.
In years gone by, back in the old day. So I remember, you know, we all have our municipal courts out, our own municipal courts out here. We contract right now with Cheney. So we used to see those tickets get filed into the municipal court. And then it changed somewhere along the way. It went to district court. And then we get a statement from the county every year that talks about if you use our court services or whatever, that there's these criminal justice charges that can be imposed. I just want to make sure that we don't get this, oh, when you're getting charged $350 an hour for a prosecutor for someone who had contested a ticket, or some fee, some filing fee for filing into the court. So I just we probably want to put that in the language that it's minimal impact and that there isn't an additional, but Scott, that's just a question, is we can just get that in the language so it doesn't come up later when neither one of us are here looking at it anymore.
Yeah, no, it's a good point, and I'll get some clarity, as it relates to how the activity in district court is informed by our relationship, different from this contract, but under our court functions as well. So our finance team and budget team can help with that as well.
We have a contract for police services, and you could file into, you know, our municipal court, but if for convenience and maybe a lot of other reasons, it goes there. It won't make any difference to me as long as we can know what the cost is going to be and then decide how that process is through.
So I apologize, Mayor. You said that medical aid currently contracts with Cheney for their municipal court. Okay, so then these would invariably end up with Cheney Municipal Court. I'm presuming not our district court, but
They could be filed, and then we are just in the middle of transferring that to Airway Heights, actually, so it could get more complicated.
So yeah, obviously
But
more.
where the municipal court is, you know, that's just my question as an officer, are you filing for the county, you know? Scraps, you're under the sheriff's
No,
contract?
they're
No, you're
under the Board of
completely
County
separate.
Commissioners.
Yeah, Board of POCC, okay. So anyway, it's just a question, and if we could clarify that in the language, and it doesn't really matter to me as long as we know that we understand if there's a cost that we're managing that, so.
Very good, we'll follow up on that one as well.
Yeah.
I did want to also point out when I say that it's based on the cost to operate, I don't say that in terms of you're gonna pay whatever it is. We're very judicious and try to be a good steward of funds, because the for all the unincorporated parts of the county general fund picks these things up too. So we have a vested interest with you and other jurisdictions to make sure we're managing our costs effectively. The team has been doing a really good job. Chris mentioned some technology that he's put in place to help our officers be much more efficient in their citation writings, much more responsive to the needs of the community. Within our facility, we're being a lot more diligent in terms of the types of expenses that we're incurring for veterinary services and others. I would say that when I joined the county, we weren't being as diligent about that. So your dollars that your community is spending on these are important to us, just as our county dollars are completely, we try to be really good stewards to those dollars. So I've offered it up to every jurisdiction. If there are ideas you have that we could modify the service levels that we're providing that helps us manage our costs now into the future, we're very open to those ideas. So please share them with us as you come across them.
How are, so calls just go into crime check and then are diverted, or how do people call in? You have your own
We have
animal
dispatch.
enforcement,
Yeah.
your own dispatch, and okay, so we
Yeah,
have
so-
to educate our community a little bit. You know, I think we've sort of, the world just happened and there's things and we get calls and I bet those are going to crime check right now and maybe they send them on to you, but we need to do a better job of probably educating our community about your process.
Yeah, well, and I think we can also do, a better job of doing some community outreach and educating. We really, so we have a call center from 10 a.m. until 5:30 p.m. We have our internal dispatchers. And then we utilize currently a third-party answering service called Password for our emergency after-hour service. So every night we have an on-call animal protection officer to respond to emergencies. We have been struggling with our this company sold, it was local, and then now they're national. So they got call centers in like Texas and Tennessee, and the information is becoming inconsistent from those. So we're actively trying to work through those challenges, but we do have a third-party call center. We do get calls from law enforcement, for law enforcement assist after hours as well. But they essentially call through our emergency system as well after hours, and then our internal system. Our call center this last year had 90,000 calls. And so our dispatchers, folks get really frustrated for sitting on our non-emergency line. They'll be on hold for 20, 30, 40 minutes and they're losing their mind, and I don't blame them. And then we have like a emergency line where they can press a separate number and jump to the front of the line. And we regularly have folks that are getting frustrated with sitting on the hold, and then they jump the line and then they get put back into the line from our call takers because of the number and volume of calls that they are receiving. But we do answer and create jobs for each of these calls, and we do send officers out, and a lot of the information that is prepared here is specific to Medical Lake and has the information when these calls were received, and then when an officer did their initial response to those calls, and providing a little bit of a synopsis for what was the outcome of those cases.
So are you adding some officers? Are you short-staffed now, or what's the staffing level?
Yeah, with like everyone, we always run a little bit short on folks. So I think right now, with Chris, we have 9 other APOs or 10.
So fully staffed, we have 9 APOs, and I'm currently at 8 right now.
So that fluctuates, and that kind of goes back to the costs we're not going to base your costs on our budget as if we're full. It'll be on our actual costs. So to the extent that we might be too light, that'll be reflected in our overall costs as well. Yeah. And so no, we're not adding APOs right now. If that's something that jurisdictions wanted, more robust response or heavier enforcement actions, it's something that we could evaluate, but this is based on our current model with all the jurisdictions in right now that we're operating from.
Very good. Yeah. Any questions from council? I know I asked a lot of questions that are on my mind. I had missed the meeting, and so I'm kind of playing catch up a little bit here too. So, but also wanting council and public to be informed. Any other questions?
I think I got my question answered about how many officers you had. So it's safe to say that you're more complaint response driven based on how few you have, based on the numbers you have. This is pretty voluminous just for us. So I can imagine what you're dealing with countywide or within areas that you're responsible for. So Thank you.
So it sounds like you're doing some internal improvements. I think that for myself, we're already doing some community outreach. I would love to put this on our community outreach docket over the next, few weeks or so. We have time if we get this to be queued up for January, but I think that we would like to do some outreach, get that out through our social media and our newsletter and things, and just we have some farmers markets where we set up Q&A, but kind of just see where people are at, and if there's any other questions, we can forward those on to you so you'll know maybe what the concerns are. I think we just got used to it 2014 and life went on, and then I think that it maybe went off the rails a little bit.
Just based on these data, I like if there's chronic cases, like what happens with these chronic cases? I mean, there's a couple people with this. It's repeated and sometimes death in these things.
I mean, historically, because of I would say how lacking and ineffective our enforcement was there. I mean, when I first started, we'd have like 30 or 40 complaints on individual residences, and it seemed like it was never ending. And but essentially there is a public nuisance offense. So there's a criminal offense for even a basic infraction. So a barking dog or a perpetual dog at large offense can elevate itself into a criminal offense if you get 3 violations in a 12-month period. So it is something that really has never been utilized prior to coming on, and with our effective enforcement with the infractions, with our civil level stuff, it kind of gets us to that point. And some folks really disregard these civil fines, and they just, it doesn't matter to them. But once you get to that criminal level, you get a subpoena, you have to show up to court, and it becomes a more serious issue. So yeah, we are getting.
Is there almost like a counselor or something that you like?
Sometimes
it's like almost a hoarding kind of thing.
Yeah, it depends. Like there's sometimes the courts will like have a mediator or something of that nature. Yeah. But it's really to the court's discretion. Yeah.
One of the
I was just gonna ask, do you get calls from you through Crime Check?
So they come through our dispatch. So either they're like 911 or Crime Check is calling us to relay it, or they will tell folks you need to call Scraps, and then they'll have citizens call us directly.
They have their own dispatch center.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think we can do better job at educating people on who to call.
Yeah.
We probably have a lot of people calling Crime Check.
Yeah, and if you honestly, if you guys have community events, that would be a good situation for us to come out to also participate and educate in it, because we haven't. The frustration is, so like for the non-emergency stuff, we also have an online complaint form process where people can go online if it's not an active urgent thing, where they can fill out their statement, they can provide their photographs or videos, and then it goes to our call takers, our dispatchers, and they will build those non-emergency calls. So you're providing us a statement and any evidence that you may have, and then you don't have to sit there on hold and then be asked for that same information. Educating, and we're really updating those processes as well, so they're not so cumbersome. Because it is frustrating if you have something basic you're trying to report and you have to sit there you'll just hang out.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I want to be thoughtful of your time. We do have more information you guys all have. And if you had questions on it, we could just leave it as a leave behind. But because we're going to more of a call for service model for getting services, we're building out more robust reporting for each of our jurisdictions. So you can see it's like addresses, type of call, emergency, non-emergency, impounded animals that came into our facility from the address, what our response times are for different priority 1, 2, all the way through 5 calls. So because you weren't paying for calls for service, I would say that our annual reports that we provided the level of information was probably appropriate. But now that we're moving to a different model, we want to make sure we're providing the right level of information that you all want to see on a regular basis. It would be a monthly basis as opposed to just an annual basis. So, So we'd love to do some public outreach, our team doing that, helping. How do we increase spay and neuter awareness? How do we increase licensing? How do we inform on the right people to call when you're having issues when it comes to animal control?
Absolutely. Well, I sure appreciate your time, and I don't have any other questions right now, but I think that I'm glad to hear that you're going to this new model. It sounds like a preferred model. Would be interested in having those tickets probably filed into our municipal court just so that we can have our prosecutor maybe has a little more interest in that than it being lost in the thousands and thousands of infractions that go to district court. But
We'll follow up.
yeah, we'll follow up on that and come up with kind of massage that a little bit and start outreaching to people so they know who to call and what you're going to do. And that also the difference between what's a civil infraction when you should call 911 if there's a dog bite or there's a vicious thing. I mean, they're not going to call scraps and you probably should call 911. So we need to educate the community about who to call when. So anyway, I appreciate your time. Any other questions from council then? I sure appreciate this and we'll get this moving then toward January.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you again, Kyle. Have a good night. All right. Thanks for everyone's patience on that. It's important. Have a good night. Thank you.
Well, Ben's leaving here. It's okay. Now, we talked about potentially waiting on the West Plains Aquifer Protection Area, but I kind of would like to bring it back as a workshop again sooner than later, because I think it's important.
I agree. I just didn't get that sense from council. So if you're asking, we can bring that to workshop again at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Then update you on anything new. You can be thinking about your questions. Yeah, I think it is worth moving forward, but I wanted to get council's and
Yeah, because they're
temperature on that.
April is when they're planning on.
Yeah, we should probably educate ourselves more, and if we're gonna have outreach to do and more things to learn, we should probably start now. If they'll be here.
Well,
You know how it goes. Okay, thank you so much, council. We'll then bring back, if that would be noted in the minutes. Thank you. Action items, then we have a consent agenda. That's approval. It's the September 16, 2025 minutes. Any changes or corrections to the minutes from council?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Minutes are approved. From September 16th, approved October 7th, 2025 claim warrants numbered 52979 through 53040 in the amount of $306,135.74.
Move to approve.
Second.
Council's all received the, thank you, Mr. Maxwell. Council's all received the full financial report. Any questions or concerns? All right, all in favor? Any opposed? Claims and warrants are approved. Suspension of the council policies and procedures regarding council vacancy. So what we have is our past policy was really outdated. It was like 1998 or 2000, some parts were 2004. And you remember we tried to revamp it and said out with the old and with the new. We just got a MRC policy and kind of adopted it as a whole. And so now when we went to apply this application, it did say that all of the applicants would be entitled to a 16-minute interview. Our prior policy said council would look at all of the applications and limit the public interviews to 3. And so we do have more than 3. Last time we had 5. And so looking to suspend the rules. Because our rule says that we have to interview everyone. We also have other public hearings for that council meeting. It's described here. Turn to page 28. So just for efficiency's sake, council will get to look at all of the applicants, limit those to 3. That would be on October 21st. Would this be when the interviews would happen? And then let's see. 3 applicants would be scheduled for the 10/21 council meeting, and interviews would then be scheduled during the 11/4. So I think on 10/21, we would be looking to go into an executive session, council would select the 3, come back out, announce who the 3 are, and then on the 11/4 would be the actual public interview for the top 3 candidates. So those are still open until the 10th of October. We have 4 now, so we may have more. So that's council's prerogative. But we're just looking at that as how business was done in the past, and that we'll probably look to amend those rules in the future if council so inclined, but just bringing that before council to see if that's how you want to do manage this vacancy. And it would require a motion to suspend rule section 8.3 and interview only the top 3 qualified applicants.
I'd move to suspend rule section 8.3.
Second.
Any further discussion on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, section 8.3 will be suspended for the purpose of this vacancy, and then in the future we'll see if that should be changed. So thank you, council, for your consideration on that. Public hearings and on resolution 25-767 are legislative priorities for 2026. We're adopting those by resolution. Starting on page 29, and if you look at page 31, we've gone over this in a workshop quite extensively. Also, I sit on the AWC Board of Directors. This is their top priorities on page 32. And this resolution also adopts not only our own, but supports the AWC legislative agenda for their helping us with all those other matters, cost of indigent defense, transportation, encouraging shared revenues, and then housing. So any questions or concerns about that?
I move to approve resolution 25-767.
I'll second.
Okay, second by Councilmember Spears. Any further discussion or thoughts on this resolution? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution 25-767 passes. Bringing it back to all of our things get workshopped first, and so we believe we landed in the right spot here. Resolution 25-773 is adoption of our hazard mitigation plan. The reason it's not in your council packet is here it is, and we did not want to make multiple copies of that, but it is available online. We got a grant to put that together, post-fire mitigation. We worked with the county, all of our regional partners, all of our regional businesses, school district, DSHS, all of our emergency response in the region to start this, and worked with a consultant that we had grant fund for, and it just was approved by FEMA to be our hazard mitigation plan. So any questions on the hazard mitigation plan? Not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Resolution, all in favor? Thank you. Passes unanimously. Approval of resolution 25-773. Our hazard mitigation plan. We've received some attention for that, and Association of Washington Cities is looking to put our plan into a template for cities to use. So the work was complimented. Resolution 25-774, capital improvement plan amendment. 25-774.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Yes,
Here.
go ahead, Mr. Ron Holt.
Absolutely. Just filling in for Sunny so he can chime in if I gloss over anything that he wanted to touch on. But so essentially what we have here is a proposed amendment to the 2025 capital improvement plan to include the stormwater project that's outlined in here for Silver Lake Avenue stormwater catch basins, and would be coded PW 825-104. So as it states in the memo from Sunny, essentially what we have here is an opportunity when we began the FEMA repaving project on South Lake Terrace. It came up from both Scott Duncan, Public Works Director, and Tom Haggerty, our engineer, that there's an opportunity to add in stormwater catch basins where we don't currently have them. And that would be on Silver Lake Avenue. He identified a great need for it. There's significant stormwater runoff in that area, and currently nowhere for it to go. So just to preface this, stormwater mitigation is important for a lot of reasons, but two of which to safeguard the streets that were repaved. So essentially, stormwater can increase the rate at which those roads degrade. And so helping prevent that and allowing the stormwater to go somewhere other than ruining the roads, as well as the environmental factor. So preventing all of the everything that's included in that runoff from the roads and from the cars to go somewhere where it's treated appropriately and not into the environment. So that's essentially the project that's outlined here. And the reason it's performed in this manner is essentially this was not previously identified. We would love to plan for everything, but the opportunity came up very quickly along with this project to execute it and to reduce costs, as well as make sure that we're not redoing this or impacting the roads after they've been recently repaved and increasing costs further. So it's capitalizing on that opportunity.
I want to add just one thing, and that is council knows, but just to inform everyone that this we became aware of it post fire, so the Gray Road fire, and the road, the damage through that South Lake Terrace area was significant to the roads. And then when we had those re-engineered and sought to get FEMA reimbursement for costs that it would actually cost to repair that road, is when the stormwater mitigation piece was discovered during that engineering. And so that's why, and then is being brought forward. It needs to happen, but also that's why we didn't have it in our capital improvement plan, is because we were not aware of it. So this resolution, we're going to go into the other two, but this one just adds it to our capital improvement plan so that we can justify reimbursements from FEMA, and then actually expending the assigning the contract to the folks that can do the work here. So we're going to talk about that.
Yes, and just to clarify, this is not reimbursable by FEMA. So this would be local dollars only. We did try to get it reimbursed to them,
Sure.
stressing the importance of it, but they only repair to like how it was before the fire. So no reimbursement. This is coming from local dollars, but it's
I remember we had asked about that. So if you look on the capital improvement plan, it's clearly spelled out then on page 39. I apologize, I misspoke there. Page 39, using our capital improvement project cover sheet, shows it as transportation, it is public health and safety risk, it is the project elements are engineering and design and construction, and the funding will come from capital reserves and operating revenues. And so it is, the cost is $60,000, and that's what is being added to the capital improvement plan. Thank you, Cost, for clarifying.
Absolutely. And then one other item of note is obviously this was not planned for or budgeted for. So if this resolution is passed, section 2 states that a budget amendment would be directed by council to be brought forward in a future meeting.
To this $60,000, what's that leave reserves? Minus what's in reserve that we're taking this out of?
So it would essentially be from the ultimate impact would be from the capital improvements fund. So we were reviewing that recently when we were at our executive retreat to talk about capital improvement plans for 2026. There are I'm spacing the number at the moment, but there are ample reserves to be able to go towards these projects. What it would do essentially is just bump some of the potential projects that we had talked about in 26, and there wouldn't necessarily be funding for that. And so, and that obviously a $60,000 impact. I believe, I want to say there was somewhere between 200 and 300,000.
I thought it was closer to 3,000.
Yeah.
So this is from the street restricted fund that can only be used for streets, and that's where we're drawing the money from. And there's a sufficient reserve there for this. And to Goss's point, we did prioritize this. We can't build the road back without it, technically, because of the environmental impact, and then to preserve the street. So it was moved to the top of the list, but now we need to add it to our capital improvement, and that's the purpose of this resolution. Mr.
I was just gonna ask if any of the flooding is like potentially damaging houses or foundations or.
Not that I'm aware of. All I'm aware of is that it has an impact on the streets, and the South Lake Terraces area in particular. Oh, actually, there was a map. You want to pull up them?
Doesn't sound
And
like-
Scott is online too, if maybe that might be a Scott question. Mr. Duncan, is there any flooding risk, impact to basements or foundations or anything else in that area?
If I wrote this 2 or 3.
Never know, okay.
Mr. Duncan, can you hear us okay, Scott?
No, I think the roads, if I remember right, the
Yes.
road's significantly lower. there.
Okay, go ahead.
Silver Lake Avenue, there's 4, possibly 5 houses that actually pump their stormwater out of their basements and crawl spaces into that street, and that has been going on for quite a while. We have an opportunity now with FEMA paying for a majority of the project. I thought it would be a good time to bring this forward and try to get storm basins in there to mitigate that. That was the biggest source of damage on Silver Lake Avenue, Pine View, and Evergreen. Evergreen and Pine View, we have repaired. We put storm in under different TIB projects. This is the last one. The opportunity is now to do that, and with FEMA taking on the larger portion of that paving project as far as funding.
Just for reference, it's on the right side there. Yeah.
It's the dark colored
Yeah.
place there on the right.
Okay,
Good question.
there's no discussion. I'd move to approve this.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Just one thing, that $60,000, that's $4,000 a year, it's only $11 a day. Do a lot of days, so there you go. And we can get it, it's good for 15 years. I think it's a bargain.
Okay. We have a motion and a second and a great comment. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, thank you so much. And to Scott's point too, which is why I had been FEMA discussion. The larger part of the project is paid for through the FEMA reimbursements which we've asked for. And so we're going to go to resolution 25775. That's a resolution approving the Shamrock paving for the install of the stormwater catch basin. We have one correction on page 41, and that is on section 2. It was inadvertently, section 2 was put in that said directing staff to prepare and present a budget amendment that would not be part of the award. And so
Essentially being,
staff are asking to strike it from this one. It'll show up in the next resolution. So we looking to strike that, and then each section then of course 3 will become 2 and 4 will become 3. That's the only change. So
that's, and essentially to the mayor's point, this exact direction of staff was in the prior resolution that was just approved. So it's not necessary to have it twice.
so it's redundant, but
Move to approve with the amendment.
Well, I have a question though.
Sure.
For that, in the service agreement with Shamrock, it says services to be performed, and it says which are on attached exhibit A. There is no exhibit A that's been attached to either this resolution or the next one.
so Mr. Kenny, I did, Councilmember Kenny, I did point that out to staff that the agreement for services is the attachment A. Whenever it says attachment A, it says agreement for services attachment A. It is not titled Exhibit A, and I'm asking for an amendment to add Exhibit A to the top of page 43, where it says Exhibit A, Agreement for Services. So whenever, just for staff's information, whenever there's a reference to Exhibit A, the document should be titled Exhibit A.
Right.
And I did catch that too. Any other discussion or thoughts, concerns related to the award to Shamrock? They are able to get the work done now before the ground freezes, and that's why we want to move forward with getting this added and done now.
Second the motion.
And who made the original motion? Oh, okay, Mr. Spears. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Moving on then to resolution 25776. This is also for Shamrock Service Agreement.
Yes, Thank you, Mayor. I can preface this one as well. So essentially what we have here is a service agreement to complete work that was awarded through TIB. So the SCMP, the Small Cities Maintenance Program, that is all the repairs that are happening prior to the scrub seal. So originally the intent was to have this work done by our staff. And Scott can elaborate, but essentially there is work that we don't have the equipment to complete and would obviously be more cost effective just to hire it out and have that done. I believe the original anticipation with the budget was this would cost $100,000 for the county to do, but we're obviously getting a lot less for $44,000 than for the same work. And Scott can elaborate on why or what work exactly needed to be done that required them. But that's essentially what we have here.
Okay, and before we get into some of that, a couple minor amendments also that were discovered on page 49. The second or third whereas has December 17 of 2025. It's actually 2024. The following whereas has September 3rd, 2025, should be changed to 2024. And then the third would be adding Exhibit A to the top of page 51. And then happy to talk about the substance of the agreement if you want to have any questions for Mr. Dunkley, who's online. Scott, anything that you'd like to add to what Cost has already shared that would be of value?
The original plan, that is preparation for an SCMP. That SCMP grant is setting up the scrub seal next year. City crews have crack sealed and done mastic on all those streets in preparation for it. There are 4 streets that needed what we call a skim coat or pre-level prior to scrub seal. The county was scheduled to repave those completely, but they ran out of labor and time. So our next move was to have Shamrock do it while they were in town, prep those streets for scrub seal. And that is reimbursable under that TIB grant. And we're well under budget there on that grant, so.
Whereas the TIB amount was up to 160,000 and we'll be asking for 44,600.
Yeah, approximately 150 ton. I may go over that, but there is funding in there to cover that.
Thank you. Any further discussion or questions? Entertain a motion to approve with the amendments.
So moved. Second.
About that, we'll give that one to Mr. Hubble. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you so much. We have finally an ordinance. It's a second read on ordinance 1135, 2025 Q2 budget amendment. We'll have council, if you would please read that into the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. City of Medical Lake, Spokane County, Washington, ordinance number 1135, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Medical Lake, Spokane County, Washington, amending ordinance number 1132, section 1, parenthetical 2024, end parenthetical, and the 2025 final budget, providing for the effective date thereof and other matters properly related thereto.
Okay, thank you. Fox, you want to give us a quick brief on this?
Absolutely. Very similar to the first read. So this is addressing 2 subjects. One is the city beautification fund with the irrigation for the flowers, the hanging flower baskets, and then as well as the kitchen remodel project. So the only change here was that it was noted in the last meeting that sales tax was not included in the quote that was provided by Glenn Horton. So I amended this to include that additional 10,000 that's anticipated.
Thank you. And the total 87,500 for budget amendment 4. the 2025 budget. Yes, sir.
Can I just add, I've just never heard these other matters properly related there too. What does that
That's
mean?
common. It's just common language. As long as I've been in government, that's how ordinances are read.
Oh, really?
Other matters properly related thereto.
Okay.
Um, The effective date is basically.
Sorry, I was just asking. And then have we heard back from do we have to get this approved before the kitchen budget? Or the kitchen group?
I don't think it's holding up progress, but I think from what I last heard from Glenn, the planning and the getting everything lined up is still moving. So with this being approved, it obviously council is authorizing the expenditures.
Council had already authorized it, but we have not amended the budget. And then we'll have one more budget amendment typically to close out the year for any nuances for the general fund, but.
Yeah. Hopefully fewer.
Any questions, any other questions, or other matters there too?
Related to their business.
It is on every ordinance. Sometimes though, it just jumps out at you and it's like, I've never heard that
It just
before.
stood out.
Maybe it's the way that Tom read it.
It's these legal people, they love words like that. They don't mean anything, but we have to use them.
That's exactly it.
Move to approve ordinance 1135.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any other discussion or concerns? All in favor? So that's the second read, passage of ordinance 1135 for the 2025 quarterly budget amendment. We have no executive session, no emergency ordinances. I see no noted upcoming agenda items. If you have anything that you would like to be brought forward, which we've already said that we're going to bring another workshop on the Aquifer protection plan. Anything else, reach out to staff for that. Last opportunity for interested citizen comment, anyone online and anyone in the audience. Sanderson, want to go ahead and come forward? I'll beat you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Lonnie Henderson, resident of Medical Lake. And just following up from our previous meeting when we were talking about the audit, and I was just wondering, is there any update information if Cons would like to share with the council and everybody, with regard to that? Because it says that, we might have something about the middle of October, so that's just next week. So just to follow up to that, so where are we? Thanks.
Absolutely. I can share a little update right now. They're coming to a close on all three audits, single audit, accountability, and financial. As of now, the only things of note is that, and I stated this to the finance committee, but essentially they would like to, for the single audit purposes, so federal government would like to see that we have a conflict of interest policy in place that we don't currently. We follow the state policy, the state RCWs, but they would like to see something more specific adopted at a local level. And then they also want to see some other federal language regarding procurement that states something to the effect of under federal awards, ensuring that we procure minority and women-owned businesses as part of the award, which is just standard federal language. So they'll bring that forward. They're deciding what level that they want to put that at. Likely a management letter, just stating that they want us to adopt those.
Yeah, so that is something that we run into. Of course, we have federal awards and we'll get many of those. We've never had a policy which required, but they're under the FAR requirements, which is the federal requirements. So there's like 3 FAR numbers that we use. And so we'll be bringing those policy forwards, especially as we try to procure more federal grant awards, and then we'll be, have those in place going forward. So, but no other significant, no material findings, which is always the important thing. And I want to commend Koss on the excellent work that he's done. I also want to make one final comment in that it was reported that the city had received a large amount of fire recovery funds. And I just want the public and the council to know that The city of Medical Lake did not receive any dollar. We received $0 of wildfire money. All of the state money that was awarded went directly to Spokane County. By state law, it can only go to the county seat. It cannot come to a lower jurisdiction. And also that's how that happened. The city did incur actual costs to damage to our city from the Gray Road fire, like the street that we talked about tonight. And we had to use general fund dollars to repair those. We did get some insurance reimbursement, and then we have asked for some FEMA reimbursements. And we did go to the state legislator and say, hey, legislature, last session, and say, hey, we came up about $180,000 short, and they gave us like $170,000. So anyway, there was a report in our newsletter on all of the funding, but there was no fund money to spend. It was money we did spend. We asked for some help to reimburse those. We're still not whole on those things, but just want the public to know we received $0 in fire recovery dollars, and the federal money will also go to Spokane County. The 44 million, none of those dollars were awarded to Medical Lake. So just wanted to make that clear. All right, with that, we would, oh, we have another comment.
Good evening. Thanks for having me up here. So you brought up that deal about the money. So that article in the newspaper, I never said anything about the city of Medical Lake getting any money that wasn't due to them. My question was, the money that's not allotted went to whatever agency that was involved, the long-term, whatever they are, relief or whatever it was. That money was what was in question, not what you got or the city got or anything else. So you've taken it out of content.
So
That's not what I said. So I'm not gonna get into it with.
But to answer your question, the funding, if you want to know, the funding went to
I know where the
the
funding came
county,
from.
and the Anovia raised dollars. And that no dollars went directly to the long-term recovery group, but we can.
I am just reporting to you what was said in the newspaper, what did not come from me. So
I'm making it clear to the public, the city did not receive any fire recovery dollars. So, thank you.
And I also clarified, it was the
Yeah.
Park West well in Airway Heights that was shut off. Earlier I said Sun West, which is a great
Oh,
auto shop in
correct.
town. It's actually Park West well.
Park West, well, Park West.
It's gonna stick in your brain all day.
It is, it bothered me quite a bit.
Oh.
And I know we're getting close to the end. of
Thank you
these.
for correcting that.
Yes.
Anything else from council then? Otherwise we move to conclude.
I'll second.
Okay. All there.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you.
Right.
Okay.
Oh.